All right, welcome to the Side Action, episode 17 of season 5. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. So, Action, first of all, congratulations on the Calcutta and the plus 550 in the World Cup. You did great.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really awesome World Cup final last Sunday. The back and forth play, especially in the second half and the extra time, was really enjoyable. There were moments where I couldn't sit down. I was standing in front of the TV. Mm-hmm. So it was great.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that there have been finals that go to PKs and all that kind of stuff, but the way it kind of transpired, Argentina was kind of dominating, and then France came back, and what was this guy? Mbappe? What was his name? What's his name?
Kylian Mbappe.
Mbappe, yeah, he scored 2 goals back to back really quick, and then the great save, and that was in extra time.
Yeah, in the 123rd minute, I think it was probably one of the last kicks of the ball. France could have won it right then and there. That was an amazing save.
Amazing save, and I don't know but that keeper, when he won the golden thing, he was walking around his.
I saw that.
The Qataris were like, "We're not inviting you back."
Yeah, you're not coming back.
But hey, he got it done. So congrats. How was the rest of your weekend? And you're in Arizona right now?
Yeah, the rest of the weekend was nice. We just kind of relaxed. Actually, that was the weekend. We went down to see my niece, Emma. So we did that Saturday and then came back. So it was a really fun weekend, all around 24-hour trip to Indy, and then the World Cup final, and then NFL football. And now we are here in Scottsdale for a couple of days with my brother-in-law and his girlfriend, and then we're going to go up and visit my in-laws for Christmas.
That's awesome, man. What a great, it's good to get out of the Midwest, Action, as you know.
Yeah.
As I was discussing before the pod, it's minus 4 degrees. It's up from minus 6 from earlier this morning with a wind chill of minus 30. So it is a little chilly in the upper Midwest, a little snow action. Don't worry, my dad is messaging me about Colorado weather, and it's always worse, but then he tells me it's going to be 50 on Monday. I'm like, it's not going to get quite that warm here, Dad. Thanks for the notification. I had a good weekend. I had a good weekend. Went to we had a happy hour on Friday. That was fun. We had a good turnout, the holiday happy hour. And then on Saturday, I had 2 different parties. And you'd be proud of me, Action, proud of your co-host. I only had 3 drinks on Saturday, but I was out for like 6 hours. So look at that. I was controlled because I played volleyball like 8 in the morning. I missed most of the World Cup final. But yeah, it was a good time. A lot of celebrations, birthdays, stuff like that. So now we're just kind of hunkered down. My daughter came home, and I'm sure she's really happy to be back in the freezing cold weather and locked up in the house for days.
Well, that sounds nice. The key is moderation. It sounds like you're on it.
Yeah, I'm not good at that because I'm a yes man, as you know. I'll say yes to any shot. And Friday was like that. Friday was a little banged up for volleyball. It was, people, when you're the host, they want to give you a shot. I'm like, sure, why not? Next thing you know, I've barely eaten any food, and it's 12:30, a.m. You've been drinking since 5 p.m. and you pass out. You wake up with a headache. Action, it happens. You got to watch yourself.
Of course.
So anyway, let's dig into what happened last week in week 15. We didn't have a great week, but we'll get on that more. So let's go over the injuries first. These are kind of big for our handicaps this week. First of all, Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia. He kind of landed on. The Bears actually played pretty tough. They did cover that number. But it was never in doubt, to me, the outcome. But Hurts kind of got banged up on his shoulder. It looks like he's out. You're listing doubtful. I think he's out. You've got the Minshew mania coming in there with the stash. I know you love Minshew. We'll talk about that in a minute. So that's a big handicap there against Dallas. Ryan Tannehill out for the season. This is interesting. So that's out for the regular season, or is he out, period?
Well, I don't think they're going to make the postseason. So I think I read that he's out at least through the remainder of the year. That's a good question, though. I don't know the exact nature of the injury. I think it's ankle, some some fashion.
Yeah, I mean, after, and of course, we get the ambulances here at the Edgewater studio. You're welcome. But, you know, after last night's win with Jacksonville, I mean, they're really only a game back.
Half
So,
game. Yeah.
half game, right? I mean, assuming they, so wait, I thought there were 2 games back going into this week. No? Are they 1 game
No,
back?
one game. One game.
Okay.
And they have the tiebreaker now, having won in Tennessee already, and they play in the last week of the season in Jacksonville. So
Right.
I think the Jaguars are in firm command.
Yeah, I think they're going to take the division. We'll see. I mean, obviously, the Titans, good coaching. We talked about it. They've kind of defied the odds for a while, and now they've kind of come back to earth. But Malik Willis, huh? I mean, he got a start before. He wasn't great, but they did okay against the Chiefs. We'll see. A totally different offense with him in there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Can't really throw.
Right. Lamar Jackson is out again. The Tyler Huntley experience continues for Baltimore. We'll see. They did not look good last week against the Browns. They have an interesting matchup this week. I don't know if we can go on that team, but this is the same thing last year. Lamar was out late in the season. They swooned and they actually ended up missing the playoffs. I don't think they're going to miss this time. It's close. They're definitely going to lose the division, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, too. Tough game last Saturday night. Thankfully, I was driving back and listening on the radio. I didn't have to watch it.
Yeah, it's an ugly game. Then you got Russ Wilson. He's set to return, although, Ripon played fine. So, whatever. At least they know they've got a capable backup. We'll see if Russ Wilson plays better. I mean, he's got to earn that contract at some point.
Yeah.
But they've played a little bit better in the last couple of weeks. And then you've got Jonathan Taylor. He's out for the year. He got hurt in that crazy game that I don't think I referenced it in the in the write-up. The biggest comeback in the history of the NFL. Sorry about that action. Your Colts up 33-0 at halftime. And Matt Ryan has been on the worst worst of it a couple times here. But wild game. I mean, obviously the Vikings came, raging back and ended up winning in overtime. Didn't cover the number, but Jonathan Taylor got hurt in that game, and that whole Jeff Saturday did not win his namesake. But I don't know. The Colts we had a weird season.
Yeah, in the end, I think it's probably better that the Colts lost the game. Going for draft picks now, there's no reason to win games like that this late in the season.
Exactly. Well, let's go over the picks. We were on the Bills. They were playing Miami. I don't know about this Bills team. They were laying 7. We thought that they would do it. It wasn't as much of the weather angle. I just thought that they'd get a lot of revenge. Give Miami credit. I mean, they played well. They were up 29-21 late in that game, and then the Bills had to kind of storm back to win. There was snow late in the game to kind of slow down Miami, but I didn't really think it was, a laser light show passing attack for Miami. I think they just kind of dinked and dunked. They ran the ball pretty well. They played a good football game. So, they did lose the game, and they've lost now. Is it 4 in a row? It's at least 3 in a row for Miami. So the Bills didn't cover winning 32-29, but let's look at, Miami, how they're going to go for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely impressed with Miami in that game. And I think the question for me is the Bills' defense.
Yeah.
All season long, we've had them near the top of the league, but giving up 29 points in that setting to the Dolphins, they are just not playing like the team that we saw earlier in the year. They slipped to 5 in DVOA, but it feels like they're a worse defense than 5 right now.
I agree, 100%. I mean, they haven't played well in weeks, and I don't, ever since that, this was like the Detroit game when I just felt like they couldn't stop Detroit. If you've got a capable, offense, they're just, they're letting people move the ball. I mean, it's weird, but we'll see what happens. They've got the game against my Bears tomorrow, so we'll see what happens. We did get the Jags right. We're on the right side with the Jags. Jags were getting 3.5 at home. It may not have been the stripper angle. I'm not really sure, but either way, they were down big in this game, 27-10 against the Cowboys, and leave it to the Cowboys to blow another big lead like they did against Green Bay. And it was kind of a tidal wave. The Jags started really throwing the ball. Trevor Lawrence is playing great football right now, and then they force overtime and get that kind of pick 6. But I don't know if I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I mean, we know that McCarthy's not a good coach. We know that. We always knew that. But this team has such talent, and they're able to get up to these leads. And they've got a great defense. I don't understand why they can't hold these leads.
Yeah, I mean, another team where you have to question the defensive prowess because the last 3 weeks they're giving up points aplenty, 40 points to the Jaguars and almost 500 yards of offense and 7.2 yards per play on Sunday. Just a pitiful performance by the Cowboys defense.
Agreed. We'll talk about them against the Eagles this week. We were wrong on the Panthers. I don't know what happened with this team. I mean, they're laying 2.5 at home against the Mitchell Trubisky Steelers, and Trubisky looked pretty good. He played pretty well, and offensively they couldn't do anything. They lose 24-16 outright. The game really wasn't that close. So I just felt like the Panthers, this AFC or NFC South is like the worst division ever in football, I think. They obviously lose an opportunity in the division, even though Tampa stinks still. But that little run that the Carolina was on was turned back by the Steelers. So, and Mike Tomlin still can finish above 500, buddy.
Yeah, that's true. 4 of 11 on third down, not helpful. I mean, the Steelers outgained them 325 to 209. It was a pretty dominating performance, I'd say. It was really the rushing game too. Najee Harris is starting to look good again, and I think that really aided Trubisky.
It did. It really helps. We had the Titans. They were +3 on the road against the Chargers. This handicap was perfect, actually. This is exactly what we expected. Low-scoring game. Titans were in it. They had a late drive, and I texted you when they scored that touchdown to quote-unquote tie the game. It was at 14-13 at that point. I'm like, they should have gone for 2. Then we can cover and go for the win. And then they end up just kicking the extra point and letting Herbert just make a couple good throws to get down in field goal range to win the game kind of in regulation, basically. I guess they did kick the ball off, but so this was a tough one. We got a push on this one because it was 20-17 for the Chargers, but right handicap, just a bummer that we didn't get the actual outright win on this one.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry had a big game, over 100 yards on the ground, so that came to fruition. What can you do? We'll take a push, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I put this one on here. What a weird game. What a weird weekend. We had the Minnesota game where it was just a crazy calamity on Sunday or Saturday evening or whatever, or Saturday afternoon, I guess that was. And then you got the Patriots. The Patriots are getting beat pretty soundly in the first half. Then they go on a 21-point run to take a 24-17 lead in the fourth quarter, in complete control. Ramondre Stevenson was running all over this team. They were stopping the run. Josh Jacobs, which was our handicap originally. Patriots getting the 2.5 at the Raiders. But there was a lot of people on the Raiders, and what did they do? They'd had this late drive, kind of like the Denver game. Late drive, scored a touchdown, very questionable touchdown. The guy was clearly out of bounds. But they still got ruled a touchdown, tie the game. Patriots have the ball. Just run the clock out, take a knee. Stevenson runs through the middle. I mean, it wasn't like the Raiders were trying to, let him go through the middle. But then he laterals the ball to Jacoby Myers. And then Jacoby Myers, like an idiot, throws the ball back 15 yards. I guess he's trying to go to Mac Jones, but he throws it right to Chandler Jones, who just proceeds to chuck Mac Jones to the ground and run for the game-winning touchdown. First of all, I'm sure Vegas hated, meaning the bookies hated this.
Yeah.
Because, obviously an outright winner, and I'm sure there were a lot of, parlays and stuff. But what a crazy-ass game, dude.
Yeah, wild ending, indeed. I don't know what Jacoby Myers was thinking. He's usually a pretty smart football player, too. Yeah. I think he really owned it at the end of during the post-game press conference. So...
And again, I think the Patriots, even though we didn't pick this game in the contest, they were the right side. I mean, we kind of almost flipped to the Raiders because the money was coming in, but classic handicap that just completely got destroyed on that play.
If they went to overtime, you have to. The Patriots were in complete control. They were probably 90% to win that game in OT.
Of course. Anyway, what are you going to do? Bengals, we didn't take this team. We backed off because we thought the Bucs were going to play well, which they did in the first half. So the Bengals were laying 3.5 in this game at Tampa. Tampa played a perfect half, 17-3, played a great defense. Again, good handicap action, except I don't know what the hell happened at halftime. They turned the ball over. I think it was 4 straight times, the Bucks. First of all, and you want to explain this to me? You're up 17-3. You're at your own 26-yard line. You go for a fake punt? Well, what the hell are they thinking? They go for a fake punt and blow it. They fumble it, and then they say get tackled right there. They give a short field to the Bengals, who haven't moved the ball all day. They score right away. Then they turn the ball over 3 straight times in a row. The game flips. They score like 24 unanswered points, meaning the Bengals end up winning 34-23. I mean, another crazy game for this weekend.
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that fake punt really turned the momentum in that game and just gave the Bengals new life. And from that moment on, it was a completely different football game.
And somehow Tampa, as bad as they've been, and I don't know how many games they've lost in a row, they're still on top of the NFC South, dude. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's atrocious.
It is. I mean, the Bucks still pretty much dominated the box score. 400 yards to 237. The yards per play was almost 2 yards better than the Bengals. So it was really just the turnovers and the short fields that they kept
When
giving
you get the ball to 20 every time, on the other 20, I mean, and Burrow's like, okay, here's another touchdown. Let me hand it off. I thought Mixon ran pretty well in this game, considering against the Bucks defense. All right, and the last one was the Commanders. Oh man, the Commanders and Tyler Heineke. He failed us. But I don't know if you watch this game. I know you sometimes go to sleep on Monday Night Football, as you should, or Sunday Night Football. So the Commanders were laying 4.5, and I'm not going to say that they should have covered this game, but when you watch the game, Washington's so much more talented than the Giants. They moved the ball from 20 to 30, from their 20 to the 30 of like 6 times. Then they kept getting penalties, getting pushed out of field goal range, punt the ball. And then they obviously strip sack, fumble. Thibodeau played great for the Giants, that's for sure. He had multiple sacks and he had the strip sack recovery himself for the touchdown. But in the end, like the defense played solid. The Giants didn't do much on offense. And then the stupid fumble it's a good reversal. I mean, Heineke fumbled in the red zone.
Yeah.
Points off the board. And then this ridiculousness at the end of the game. I don't even understand. It's not that I'm saying it's rigged or anything. I just think that on the 2-point conversion, when Washington scored earlier in the game, and they called pass interference on, I don't even know why they called it. It was like ridiculous. Receiver ran into the guy in front of him. That happens on every play. But then later in the game, when they say McLaurin was lined up wrong, he waves his hand over there, and they gives him a move, and then he moves up a little bit. Then they still call it on him. That takes him out, negates a touchdown. And then the guy got mugged. I mean, come on, dude. Receiver got completely mugged by the Giants cornerback, no call. It's just bad officiating, So in the end, I'm not saying they would have covered the number, but they probably should have won the game or at least been in overtime.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't see it. You're right. I did go to bed, so I didn't see the end, but I heard a lot of discussion on radio and whatnot this week. So it sounds like Heineke probably should have thrown an interception during that sequence earlier.
He did. He did. He threw it right to somebody, and they may go back to Wentz.
Wow. They should think about it, because I don't think Heineke's the answer.
Yeah, well, in the long run, I don't think he's the answer. So for this team, they still are on the fringe of the playoffs. I do think your Lions have a really good chance to overtake them now. But anyway, we'll talk about that more later. So on the week, Dogs came in just ahead, 8-7-1 this week with the push. And then the unders just killed it 11-5. Probably a lot of weather in that one. But look at this, man. And this started off early. Of the favorites, 6 of them didn't cover this week. You know what I'm saying? That won the game. So that's of that 8-7-1, 6 of them were no covers by the favorites. So a little bit of a correction.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into week 16 action. We already talked, the Jags won 19-3 against the Jets. I feel bad for the Jets. Obviously Mike White got hurt. We know Wilson sucks. They end up going to the other guy last night. I didn't even know this guy. Did you see that last night?
Yeah, late Strebler.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't play great, but he played better than Wilson. The Jets, if they have any offense, not just in this game in general, they probably win against Detroit and the Jags. But But anyway, the Jags they're sitting there. Like you said, they're in the driver's seat for the AFC South. All right, let's go to the next game. Let's go to the Saturday games. Now, look, it's a little bit weird this week, everybody. Not that you're having to gamble every second, but the bulk of the games are on Saturday, Christmas Eve, and there's only like 4 games on Christmas Day. Is that right? 3 games.
Yeah.
And a Monday night game. So, by the way, I've already notified the proxy of the earlier picks this week.
Great. Nice work.
There's a lot of games in this kind of 1 o'clock window for Saturday. So we got to get after it. So let's start off with the Falcons going to the Ravens. Ravens open as a 7-point favorite here. They're still 6.5 in the contest. The total went from 40.5 to 34.5. We didn't talk about Ritter. Ritter played okay. They did get the cover. They didn't win the game, but they got the cover in the game against the Saints. Kind of got a late touchdown, kind of backdoored that situation. But obviously, the total tells you the story. Nobody's going to score this game. So 6.5 is a lot of points for a low total game. I'm not saying we should get on Atlanta, but Baltimore, I would never take Baltimore in this game. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, I can't look at Atlanta at all. Desmond Ritter was awful last week, and I don't really see him having any success against the Ravens defense. And I mean, I think you nailed it. It's a good reason that this total is set at 35.5 right now, because this is one game, and I think it'll be a theme throughout this entire podcast episode, but the weather this weekend, especially Midwest and East, is just going to be terrible in every outdoor game, and this is one of them. So right. I think, though, that the Ravens are going to be set up to have success running the ball. The Falcons' defense is 30th ranked against the run, and their rushing D line is 32nd. Mm-hmm. So if Roman actually sticks to the run this time, which he failed to do on Saturday night, I think Baltimore could cover. But I can appreciate you not wanting to lay a big number with a low total.
Yeah, I just want to stay away. The Ravens have been a team that, middle of the season when Lamar was playing, I really liked them because they played so bad early and they blew some games. People kind of laid off. The odds makers were, there was some value there. And there's technically value in my number here, actually. I got this as a 10-point game for the Ravens. I just can't trust them, and maybe they win the game, but and they should win the game. But I don't know, man. 6.5, 7 points, too many. I
do think the Ravens is a really strong teaser piece this week. I've already put them in a teaser with the Jags, actually. So bringing them 6.5 down to half is a good look.
You obviously had that in the bag with the Jags there. So, okay, next game, Seattle's going to Kansas City. Kansas City opened as a 9.5-point favorite at home, 48-point total. It's 10 in the contest for Kansas City. 49.5 is the total. We nailed it last week. We didn't even talk about this. The Chiefs, maybe they shouldn't have won. Maybe they won the game. They won in overtime against the Texans. So the Texans are playing a little better, and they can't cover these numbers. But Seattle's not a team I trust. We talked about this last week. They blew it. I mean, San Francisco dominated them, but God, 10 points. I don't like either side is what I'm saying. I think Kansas City, I would probably go with Kansas City, even though I'm sure you're going to say that the dog has value, but Seattle is not a team that I'm going to bet on ever again this year.
No, I agree with you. I am not interested in Seattle right now. They've lost 5 in a row now against the spread. And this is a team that's trending downwards, including the quarterback, Geno Smith. For as hot as he started earlier in the season, he's been equally cold the last several weeks. So I don't think that they're going to just snap back and cover a big number here. Although, in the same breath, we've talked an awful lot about how Kansas City struggles to cover these double-digit point spreads as well. So I agree with you that it's probably a pass.
Let's just pass. I mean, the angle I guess I would think is that, with Walker back, he played pretty good last week a little bit. So I think if he's back, maybe they can run on the Chiefs. But it's the defense for Seattle. They can't stop anybody anymore. So I think Kansas City can put points.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Texans against the Titans. As you mentioned, we know Malik Willis is starting, and the Texans somehow put together 2 very good games. They just keep changing the quarterback, too. It's like it was Mills last week, whoever they want to put in there. It's like a quarterback competition. So
Yeah.
Titans open as a 7-point favorite, now down to 3.5. The total's gone from 40 to 35.5. Wow. Big move on the total. I'd probably be over here. Do you think this is a weather-related move?
Yeah, it is. There's going to be single digit temps in Tennessee this weekend, also Saturday, that is. And I think this one, much like many of the other totals in the league, is mostly due to weather, but it's also because of the Tennessee offense. I mean, Malik Willis has got to be at least a 6 or 7 point downgrade in the numbers, and you're seeing that reflected in the point spread. In fact, I show that Tennessee is about 1.5 better on a neutral, so
Right.
I think going through the 3 to 3.5 shows a little bit of value to the Texans, but I'm not sure I want to touch them either. This two quarterback system has been somewhat good, but I'm not sure that it's going to continue up against Vrabel and their coaching staff.
Remind me again, isn't Houston terrible against the run?
Yes. Yeah, they are.
Henry's going to have 200 yards. It's whether how many times they score.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is terrible this week. We got to pick some games, but I still want to stay away from this one too, actually. I'm sorry.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Bills going to the Bears. The Bills open as a 9-point favorite on the road. 42-point total. It's to 8.5 now. 40-point total. This is going to be an actual freezer bowl, not like what they had in Miami or against Miami in Buffalo. This is going to be a really cold game tomorrow. It's funny. My uncle's texting my dad. He got these stupid text chains, and my uncle's like, "What? It's weird. The Bears. There's lots of tickets available for the Bears against the Bills." I'm like, game time to 10 degrees. It's Uncle Dave. He was just fucking around, but yeah, I mean, like, dude, this is bear weather, but this isn't a. I mean, I guess they run the ball, but I don't know, man. The Bills aren't covering numbers. We know that, and we know that the Bears' offense with Fields is pretty good. But can you get on board? I guess I get on board the Bears here. It's hard for me to do that against this Buffalo team.
Yeah, it is tough. But you mean, you have to feel like this cold weather is going to suit the Bears a little bit better. However, Josh Allen has been really good in these cold weather games in his career too. I mean, he's built like a linebacker, much like Justin Fields.
Right.
And I think that both teams are going to have a similar game plan this week, just looking to keep the ball on the ground and run it against their foe. But I'm not sure that I can get there. I mean, they got to the window last week with a late score, but I feel like that this week against Buffalo, you're going to need a similar late game score from Justin Fields, and I don't know if I want to count on it again for back-to-back weeks.
Right, because the other thing about cold weather, I mean, you may have not played in this. I haven't played in this colder weather, of course, but when I played in a little bit colder weather, I mean, those hits sting a little more. Action.
Yeah.
You're running the ball, you get a good sting. I mean, if anything happens to Fields, this handicap disappears, right? There's no chance. So
definitely.
Look at this, another stay away. Oof, we got to pick some games sometime. All right, let's go with the next. The Bengals are going to the Patriots. Bengals open as a 3-point favorite, 40-point total on the road at the Patriots. Now they're flat 3, 41.5-point total now. Again, this is probably a weather total, I suppose. So at some point, the Bengals will not cover a number. At some point, they're I think they're like 18-4 in their last 22 games or something crazy.
Yes.
But is this just a trap? Because I don't know. I'm not saying that like the numbers tell you that actually in my numbers that the Patriots are the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe that. Like I don't believe that in watching these two teams. And I don't know if that terrible play by the Patriots is a deflating thing last week. It could literally knock them out of the playoffs. The Bengals are playing great. I don't think they care where they play, how they play, who they play. 3 points is nice, right? So talk to me.
I like the Patriots in this game. I'll admit I bet them personally at 3.5, and now in the contest, the 3 paints a slightly different picture.
Right.
But I think that the coaching staff for the Patriots are going to be able to help this team get over what was the debacle last week.
Okay.
And I don't really factor that into the handicap here.
No.
And I think offensively, I mean, the Patriots have been terrible, obviously, lately offensively. And I don't think that's where this game is going to be won. But it's on the defensive side of the football where I think the Patriots are set up to stop the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is kind of the last stand for the Patriots, and I have a hard time going against them.
Okay. Let's put a yellow on them.
All right.
I don't know when we're going to talk tomorrow morning, but put a yellow. It's hard because I mean, the Bengals have been a bet on team for weeks.
Yeah,
I think they've won 5 in a row. Is that right? They've won like 5 games in a row, and they've covered just 6 or 7 in a row. The only game that in record, I think it was the Browns game, was the only team that was like, what happened to them? But so let's see. I mean, I think the only thing I would, Mr. Non-numerical handicapper over here, my thing is like, yes, they're going to play way better this week because they messed up the game last week, right?
Yeah.
That's the handicap, simple handicap to me. But the Bengals they're really playing well. And Joe, like I said, I wrote in my article, it's like he's going to relish. He's going to beat Brady and Belichick in back-to-back weeks. I mean, he doesn't give a shit. So,
yeah.
All right, here we go. Detroit against the Panthers. Detroit opens a 3-point favorite on the road. They're down to 2.5 in the contest. The total went from 44 to 43.5. Okay. Are you getting me on board? You're finally getting me on board on the Detroit train? Are you going to like smash me and want to take the Panthers now? Or, I mean, Detroit has covered numbers for weeks too. They're playing really well. I don't know. The Panthers defense can be salty. They played kind of crappy last week. I got to go with the Lions here, dude. 2.5 seems like a good number. I don't know.
Yeah. Seems kind of late to be getting on the Lions bandwagon.
Well,
seven in a row covers. And, the Goff put to bed the inability to play in the cold last week in New York. And it's going to be cold again this weekend in Carolina. Yeah. I don't think the weather here is quite as bad as it is in some other spots. So that may not be a huge factor. But,
right.
I mean, the passing game is really starting to pick up, and Swift is back healthy. So you have to figure that they're going to be able to do some work against this Carolina defense, which was pretty stout earlier in the year, but now is 20th ranked defensively. And on the other side, I think the Lions defense has been playing a lot better in their own right, being able to rush the passer with Hutchinson and company. So I agree. I think that certainly 2.5 looks like a more valuable number. I make it 3 on a neutral, so the spread is probably pretty right, in all honesty. But it's hard to get behind the Carolina Panthers again.
Can't do it. Can't do Panthers. Let's do yellow, or if you want to go green Lions, I'm in on that. I will say last week, and we didn't really talk about this game, but I mean, Saleh kind of screwed up that game. I mean, besides Zach Wilson, who didn't play that bad last week, he screwed up the last minute. He didn't call any timeouts. I mean, what are you doing? They settled for a 58-yard field goal. They gave up like 30 seconds when they got the ball to midfield. You call a timeout there, you probably save 2 or 3 plays. You get another 7 or 8 yards. That game should have gone to overtime. I mean, and give the Lions credit, going for a 4th and 1, making that awesome play that put them ahead. But the Jets were up 17-13. They were. It was a really good football game in the end.
Yeah.
Like White, who knows? But all right, here we go. Next 1 o'clock window game, you've got the Saints against the Browns. Browns open as a 3-point favorite. It's down to 2.5. Another weather situation, 36 down to 32. I don't know, man. Taysom Hill made some plays last week. They scored some. The Saints played okay, but can you count on that every week, especially in the cold weather? The Browns, God, I can't. This team confounds me every single week. They're the right side. There should be 3-4 point favorites in this game, but the number came down. So, God, man, what's going on? Both these teams, I can't figure them out all season.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And this total has the potential to close in like historic territory. Went down to 31.5 at one point this week before some group decided to go over. Don't know how. And it's back up to 32. But I'm having a hard time because I think the one area where the Browns could have some success is running the football, but the Saints' run defense is actually pretty good.
Right.
And so I think they should be able to hold them down. But it is hard to get behind the Saints, I think, in this game. They had a good showing last week, but going on the road to Cleveland is a whole other animal with this weather.
Is it another stay away?
I think so.
Okay. Like 5. We're good at stayaways this week, action.
Yeah.
All right, last 1 o'clock window game. You've got the Giants against the Vikings. Vikings coming off the miracle comeback. They're laying 4 points in this one from the opener and in the contest. Totals from 47.5 to 48.5. Don't worry about weather in this one, actually, because this is in a dome. But these are the two paper tigers, right? I mean, the Giants somehow won last week. And again, they never threw the ball past like 8 yards in the entire game against Washington. And then their defense played enough, but the Vikings are a better team to me. But can you lay 4 points? It's a terrible number. It's a terrible number. But I can't back the Giants. You might want to talk me into that. I can't do it. I don't believe in them. So it's Vikings or pass for me here, buddy. 4 points sucks, though, I know.
All right. Yeah, I'm not betting on the Vikings. Their defense is just terrible. If there's any team or opponent to come up against for the Giants pass game to get right, it's this one. Right. And for that reason, I'm betting the over. 48 is the total. And I think this game is going to go over, much like many Vikings games past this season. And I think that 4 is too big. I don't think the Vikings are a team with a negative yards per play differential that's capable of covering a number like this. So I think it's Giants or pass for me. Maybe we should pass.
I think we should pass. These two of the whatever, man. I mean, both these teams just confounding to me. A lot of games like that this week, buddy.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, let's go to the 4 o'clock window on Saturday. Right when you're getting your Christmas Eve dinner together. 4 o'clock. You've got Washington going to the 49ers. The Commanders. I'm assuming they both. 49ers opened as a 7-point favorite. In the contest, it's 7-point favorite. Total went from 40 down to 37.5. Not weather related, just teams. So, the Purdy train, he played pretty well against Seattle. Seattle's defense stinks. Commanders' defense is much better than Seattle's, but I don't think they can score. I don't think they can score. They can't score against anybody, even against not good defenses. They're playing the best defense now. So, man, 7 points is a lot, but I'd be on San Francisco here, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I think that your handicap is spot on. Just looking at the disparity between the Washington offense and the San Francisco defense, and it's a pretty wide chasm. So you have to figure that defensively, San Francisco is going to be able to stop Washington, just like the Giants did last week.
Right.
And on the other side, Purdy is slinging the rock. He's making high accuracy throws and pretty high completion percentage in this couple starts so far. So you have to feel like they're going to be able to score against Washington. I did read that Chase Young is supposedly coming back this week after we talked about it for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that he's going to have much of a factor. He'll probably play just a handful of snaps, I would bet. I should guess.
Yeah, I mean, and they'll run the ball at him. I mean, I actually thought last week Saquon, who had a great game on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't stop that dude, and they were running the same play over and over again. I'm like, what the hell, So, all right, let's go yellow or green one on the 49ers here.
Okay, I'm in.
The other 4 o'clock game is only 2 on Christmas Eve. You've got the Eagles going to the Cowboys. So, let's talk about this handicap or about the spread first. It opened as the Cowboys -1 at home. Now it's 5.5 in the contest. Right now, I don't know if you're looking at it, it's 4. So nobody knows what to make this game. The total went from 50.5 to 46.5. Now the main handicap is because of Hurts being out. But look, I'll just say it out loud. I'm on the Eagles in this one. Well, especially at the 5.5. Obviously, there's been money that's come in on the Eagles to knock it back down to 4. So I don't know what the right number is with Hurts being out. I have this game I don't know the Hurts handicap. I had this game basically what they had at one, right around one or pick, with Dallas at home. So what's his number to the handicap?
That's a tough question to answer because they're like so totally different quarterbacks.
Right.
Um, I, they the 1 yard sneak play might be out of the playbook now. That's a huge, huge bonus that the Eagles, like every single 4th and 1 is basically a win for them.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that Minshew can pick those up. But I don't think it's as drastic as the move indicates. I agree with you. I think that Minshew has proven that he's capable when he's come in seasons past. I did see that he had to leave the team midweek this week. He spoke at his former coach Mike Leach's funeral.
Right.
And so that may impact his ability to fully prep for this game on some level. So that's a small factor. But I do think that there is some value on the Eagles side here. And I like the over too. I think that the move down from 50 to 46 was a little too much. And I'm betting this game over as well.
Well, yeah, the Cowboys haven't been playing good D. Now, I guess the other thing I want to discuss, just because, so before we get on board with the Eagles all 100%, so the Eagles have locked up the division, right? Or have they not done that yet?
I'm not sure.
I guess they probably haven't done it. They've definitely they have a commanding lead now. I guess if they win, I thought that they already did lock up the division. So the Cowboys actually are in the playoffs already. They don't even have to win another game. But let me just check this here. Standings. If it has a Z, they've locked up the division. As an X, what does that mean? I'm going to read this again. They clinched a playoff berth. So I guess they haven't technically clinched the division. So
yeah, I think it's probably a 3-game lead with 3 to play, right?
Yeah,
and
so
they
win
play
the
each
game,
other.
yeah, right. And if they beat them, then they'd split. So okay, so unlike the Vikings and the 49ers who have locked up the divisions, and they're in the playoffs, and it's really about the seeding now. So they still have something to play for. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good for a
yeah.
handicap. And 5.5 just seems like value. It's going to be a popular play now, right? I mean, I don't care. We need to get picks right, but
I think we should highlight the Eagles if you're on board. I
yeah.
think it would be a little contrarian too. I'm not sure what the masses are going to do in this game, but I feel like more often than not. Plus, we are seeing some value. Obviously, 5.5 in the contest, and it's 4 in the market. So
that's why I think eventually people will pick that game, but we'll see. Okay. Last one, another primetime game. All right, let's go. Raiders Steelers, 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve. This is what everybody wanted to see on Christmas. Why didn't they flex out the Cowboys and Eagles? But whatever. So the Raiders, after a miracle win, they I don't think they can make the playoffs, but they're playing for pride. Steelers, 1 point favorite at home, up to 2.5 in the contest. Obviously, this is going to be weather too, from 41 down to 38.5 in the contest. So I don't know, man. I hate, we've been successfully staying away from the Raiders last week. I'd be on the Raiders here, dude. I don't know why. They're not 2.5. What's the move? Why is the move happening?
I think it's just the spot going across the country to Pittsburgh. And you've seen one team in the Steelers that are playing better football week in and week out.
They are.
And the Vegas Raiders are pretty much stagnant. And I think that it's the Raiders defense. I talked about it last week. It was a good spot for the Patriots to put some points on the board, and they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the Steelers are in line to follow suit this week, especially with Najee Harris on the ground. That 31st ranked defense for the Raiders is going to have a hard time holding the Steelers down.
So you'd be on Pittsburgh here, huh?
I think so. Yeah. And add in the fact that Franco Harris passed away this week,
Yeah.
and they are putting his number into the rafters. I think that Najee Harris is going to have a big game.
Not related, but yeah. And that's actually, what is it? Is it Saturday? Maybe that's why they did it, because this is why the game's on Saturday.
It's a 50-year anniversary. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we got to put some highlight on the Steelers, huh?
Yeah.
Like everybody
else. It's a spot.
From 1 to 2.5.
It's a good spot.
Yeah. Let's hope that they can replicate that play somehow. All right, let's go to Sunday. There's 3 games. There's a 1, 4, and an 8. It's really interesting. So you got the Packers against the Finns. Dolphins, Finns up. Finns haven't been up lately, though. They've been losing. So the Finns opened as a 5.5 point favorite at home, down to 3.5. Total went from 47 to 49.5. Give the Packers credit. They won and covered a game, finally.
Yeah.
Very ugly game, but they won. I don't know, dude. Are people down on the Finns? I mean, they've had a really tough schedule now, and they've now come out of it. They obviously lost to the Bills, 49ers, and then the Chargers. I guess is that the 3 games in a row? Yeah, that's right. So I'd be on the Finns here, man. I don't know why. Where's the number coming down 2 points? That seems like a big move. Green Bay, sure, they can run the ball, but they didn't. It's not like they cured ills. They played the Rams. So I think it's a get right spot for the Dolphins here, man.
Yeah. I lean to the Dolphins here as well. The one thing I would say on the Packers side, I think last week was the first week this season that they've actually had their full complement of skill position players, from the receivers to both running backs. And so you saw a better output from the Packers. Now, you could argue that some of that was aided by the Rams, certainly. But on the other side, I think is really the handicap for me, that the Dolphins offense going up against the 32nd ranked pass defense in the Green Bay Packers is a huge mismatch. And I think that Tua and those receivers are going to be in for a big night. I like the Fins and the over in this game.
Well, and let's factor in that the Finns have been on the road. I don't know how they got 3 straight road games. That was kind of a screw spot for them. But now they're going to get home. It's going to be maybe not hot, but a lot warmer. That's going to help them. I think, coming home and get some home cooking. Let's go. So I'd be yellow on that one too.
Okay.
All right, Broncos against the Rams. Rams open as a 1 point favorite. I'm not sure when that was, but now they're a 3 point dog at home. Total went from 35 to 36.5. I don't love the number action at 3. I think, where is it now in the market? It's 3.
It's
I
like,
do like
yeah.
Denver, dude. I can't. The Rams are horrible. They're terrible. And the Broncos, as bad as they've been against the number, and we know Hackett's a terrible coach, they've been playing a little better offensively, and that defense is still playing really well. So it's Broncos are past, even though the number's not ideal.
I agree. I don't see how the Rams are going to be able to hang in this game against that Broncos defense. Baker Mayfield has been okay, but he is not the answer for this offense right now. And with Russ coming back, I think that we saw a little something in that game 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs.
Right.
And I think that the Broncos offense should have a little bit of success in this game. So I'd be happy to lay 3 with Denver.
Wow, are we going to go yellow on this game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Look, we passed on so many games, and they're just coming up late here. All right, we've got the Bucks against the Cards in the Sunday night game, Christmas Eve. Oh, what a treat! I'm not sure why they put this game here either, but you've got Bucks laying 4.5 on the road, up to 7.5 now, from 41 to 40.5 point total. I don't understand this line action. Did something else happen that I need to know about? I mean, the Bucks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there was?
Well, we didn't talk about it at the top. I think Colt McCoy is likely not going to play as well. So it's going to be the third stringer, McSorley.
We looked him up last week. I don't remember his name again.
Chase McSorley.
Oh, McSorley. Sure. He's a former Penn State guy. Damn. Well, that's too bad for the Cardinals. This was a good spot for them. Even at the 4.5, the Bucks just can't cover numbers, but it's a stay away from me then. Actually, I don't like 7.5 at all for the Bucks.
Yeah, big game for us here in Arizona. We'll be watching on Christmas.
Yeah? Are you guys going to go to the game?
No, we'll be up in Window Rock on Sunday, but we'll probably be watching. The Suns are playing on Sunday night too, so it'll be a big Phoenix sports affair. But
Melissa likes her Suns.
Yeah, we're going to the Suns game tonight. Ja Morant and the Grizzlies are in town, so we're excited about it.
I like Ja. My guy.
Back to the football game. I agree there's no way that I could play the Cardinals, and I don't think the Bucks can score enough to cover 7.5. So this is a straight pass.
There we go. Thank you. Last game, which is a Monday night, the 26th. It's the Chargers against the Colts. The Chargers open as a 3-point favorite on the road, and then it's 4.5 in the contest from 48.5 to 45.5. I don't think we talked about this. Matt Ryan's not starting this game, right?
Correct. Yeah, another good point. Yeah, it's going to be Nick Foles. Nick Foles, the former Super Bowl MVP.
BDN. Big Dick Nick, sorry. I had to text Zach Suter, Rainmaker. He's always about BDN. He's like, BDN, yeah, baby. Everybody loves the BDN. So does that make a damn bit of difference? I mean, obviously the spread expanded a little bit. I don't love the Chargers laying 4.5. I mean, on the road, but they're better than the Colts. I'd be happy to pass on this one too, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some value to the Colts, but with the unknown of Nick Foles coming in, I mean, who knows what kind of football shape this guy is in. And I have a hard time putting some money behind that with just so many unknowns, but it's definitely a lean to the Colts.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind for the contest. I still have a lead. It's slimming.
Nice.
Let's go over our picks for this week. We'll have to talk at some point here. So we've got the Patriots getting 3 against the Bengals at home. This is on Christmas Eve. Detroit laying 2.5 on the road at Carolina. Christmas Eve at 4 o'clock. We've got the 49ers laying 7 at home against the Commanders. We like the Eagles getting 5.5 at Dallas in the 4 o'clock window on Christmas Eve. And then the Steelers laying 2.5 at home against the Raiders on Christmas Eve night. And then on Christmas Day, we like the Dolphins laying the 3.5 against the Pack, and the Broncos laying 3 on the road against the Rams in the 4 o'clock window on Christmas Day. I can go with some of those picks, actually.
Yeah, we got 7 to choose from here. I think we can make some selections.
Pick the right ones this week, hopefully. All right, so Circa Million, tough week, man. 1-3-1. It doesn't completely kill our hopes, but we got to be really good in the last 3 weeks to get down the stretch. We're at 56% now, 800 first place. We are 4.5 back of the money. The top 100 is at 62%, and the top dogs just under 71.33%. So they're not killing it. In past years, actually, they've been better. Especially the top dog, and last year was obviously the top 50, so it's a little bit skewed, but we got a shot. We just got to close out strong.
Yeah, I think that we still have a shot too. Obviously, the week last week put us back a little bit, but I think coming down the stretch, we can really make some key moves. We got to start thinking about what the public consensus picks are going to be doing too, if we want to really make some moves. So we may start that next week, I imagine.
Yeah, if we can get a good week, solid week this week, and then then we're just gonna go contrarian next week. We'll see what happens. So, All right. So it sounds like you got a full holiday weekend. I'm not doing that much, but I hope you have a happy holiday action. This is a good time of year to be with family, and good time to be in Arizona.
Yeah, yeah. Same to you. You guys have happy holidays.
All right. Well, follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter. Follow us at Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Wegs on Twitter and on Instagram.
And follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
All right. Good luck, everybody, and happy holidays.